Growing up, I was constantly in and out of the care system. My mom was never a good parent. She had 2 other kids, and a lot of the time, my mom would leave us with no food, leaving my siblings and me to eat wallpaper. It didn't do much except keep our hunger at bay. And because of this, I did not trust my mom very much and would often visit my stepmother. She felt like my real mom. My stepmom always welcomed me with open arms, and even though she already had a son, Jake, who was in his early 20s, she still treated me like family. One night, I had a huge fight with my mom. I couldn't handle my hunger anymore and ran to my stepmom's house. As soon as I got to the door, she told me that I could stay for as long as I wanted. We ordered takeout, watched movies, and had a girls' night. It started to get late, and my stepmom told me that I could sleep with her in her room. At first, I didn't know what to do. My brain was still catching up to my body as I laid under the covers. The longer I laid there, the further up I felt a hand move up my legs and squeeze my thighs tightly until it reached the side of my hip, pulling my pajama bottoms down. I didn't understand what was happening. I wanted to wake my stepmom up, but I was afraid, so I laid there frozen, hoping this was just a terrible dream. I somehow got my senses back and knew I had to do something. I couldn't let this go on any further, so I started to quickly shake my leg, hoping to wake up my stepmom, or at least get it to stop by letting them know that I was awake. My heart began thumping really hard in my chest, and in my fear, I forced myself to get out of there. I slowly and quietly got out of bed, and as I crept off, I could see my stepmom fast asleep next to me. When I looked down at the bottom of the bed, I saw a man laying there. I couldn't make out who he was, but as soon as I saw him, I ran out of the room and into the bathroom. I locked myself and started sobbing, trying to muffle the noise. I didn't know how to react to what just happened, but instead of going back to that bed, I headed downstairs. I was too afraid to go back into my stepmom's room, so I laid down on the sofa and wrapped a quilt around my body, trying to calm my nerves and protect myself. I stared into the darkness, trying to rationalize my thoughts, when suddenly, I heard the floorboard creak and footsteps getting closer and closer. I froze, terrified of what would come next. I squeezed my eyes shut as the person lay down on the floor next to me. All I could smell was their breath, a mix of alcohol, cigarettes, and vomit. I suddenly felt a hand push through the blanket, and this time, it didn't stop at my pants, and roughly pushed through the fabric and into my underwear. It hurt so much, but I was frozen from the pain and scared of what more this man would do to me. I laid there for what felt like an eternity, silently crying, trying not to make any noise. I hoped he would stop, but he didn't. It went on for what felt like hours, until I couldn't sit still anymore and pushed the hand away. I sat up on the couch and looked down, but what I saw next broke my heart. On the floor was my stepbrother, Jake. I almost vomited in my mouth, but I tried to hold it together. I can still clearly remember the t-shirt he was wearing. It was a navy blue color, which read the words Pringle in the top left corner, and his innocent face as he pretended to be asleep, not caring about the damage he had done to me. I ran up the stairs and locked myself in the bathroom, finally breaking down sobbing. I can't remember how long I cried for, but when I woke up, I was on the bathroom floor. As soon as I opened the door, my stepmom was waiting for me, asking me where I went and how I ended up in the bathroom. I didn't know how to respond and instead pushed past her and quickly grabbed all of my things. I couldn't be in this house any longer and ran home as quickly as I could. That night, I built up the courage to message Jake, and I told him, "I was awake last night," to which he replied, Huh? I knew what he did to me, but the more I tried to get him to admit it, the more he made me feel like I made it all up. He started saying things like, "Ew, who would do something like that to their own sister?" I began second-guessing myself, wondering if I really was making it all up. But I didn't. It made me feel like I couldn't speak or tell anyone. I just bottled it up inside, and the more I tried to forget it, the more it started to really affect me mentally. I ended up pushing everyone away, afraid that the people around me would try to hurt me like Jake, or worse, not believe me. I couldn't sleep and stopped eating. I hated my skin and my body. I felt stupid and weak for not stopping it when I could have, and regret not waking up my stepmom. I couldn't get over what had happened to me, and because of the pain I felt, I started self-harming. Each time I ripped a piece off my body, it would feel like I was ripping my stepbrother's cold hands off me. It wasn't long until I was addicted to the pain, and in November, I had tried to end my life. My stepmom found me with all of my letters that detailed my assault. In them, I wrote exactly what he did and how badly it affected my life. She was absolutely distraught when she read it, but she refused to believe me and chose her precious son instead. My stepmom accused me of making up lies, saying that I was being selfish. My whole world shattered when she turned her back on me. It broke my heart, and in some ways, I felt like I was the one to blame for what my stepbrother did, and the family I had lost. A few weeks passed, and I just couldn't keep it in anymore, and ended up telling one of my brothers. He convinced me to go to the police. When I told them my story, I couldn't help but break down and start sobbing. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders to finally have someone believe me. In the end, I decided not to press charges. I was already struggling to cope, and I just wanted to move on. I am now 16, and it has been a long time since the incident. My only regret was that I did not tell anyone sooner, and kept it to myself for so long. But I can now say that I am finally happy. I also have an amazing boyfriend who has been so understanding. He has helped me come to terms with the whole situation. So, if anyone's ever done anything to you that you didn't give permission to, please tell someone. Don't ever feel like you can't say anything because no one should ever take away your consent.